Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spirit Switchboard. I'm your host, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. I hope everyone's had a great week. Glad to be back. Hi, Lois. Thank you for being here. Hi, Contessa Martins. It's good to see everyone. So I just want to share for those, hello, Jackie White. I am so glad that you're here. I'm very excited for you to be part of the conversation today. Hi, Victoria from Afterlife Paranormal. Thank you for being here, folks. If you didn't see a couple, was it last week, Victoria? I'm so sorry. No, the week before. 2 weeks ago, we had Victoria from Afterlife Paranormal on the show, so you can catch that show in the archives. Hi, Michelle Plummer. Hi, James. Thank you for being here. Julie Dow. Jody, thank you for being here. So we've started a new show on Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. with Laura Lee Potvin, Beneath the Hollow Moon. So that's an exciting new thing that's been happening. Next week, we are going to be talking about the mysterious creatures that you hear about in mines and abandoned mines. So that's where we're going to go on Beneath the Hollow Moon next week. So I hope that you guys can join us on the Thursday evenings. It's been pretty fun. It's fun hanging out with Laura Lee, and we just have some fun things in store for you guys that we're planning. All right, let's get to today. I find it very interesting how spirit works, and it's always lined up, so magically. I just did an event for Helping Paws Rescue. It was a fundraiser event, and exciting how this all lined up to have this guest on today. If you guys would like to check out Helping Paws Rescue, please follow them on social media. They're doing great and wonderful things. If you are in the Southern Ontario area and are looking to foster or adopt, I'm sure they would love to hear from you. So bestselling and award-winning author, paranormal investigator, medium, and pet medium, Rob Gutro.
Hi, Carrie Lynn.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, Sherry Stubbs. Thank you for being here. Oh, Joanna, I'm glad that you're here with Ella. I'm just going to put this up for you, Joanna. My dear friend Joanna is here with her cat, Ella. So they are going to be watching together. Joanne Belisaro, thank you for being here. And right on cue, my dogs start barking. Right on cue.
Perfect.
Yeah. It just is. It is. I think they want to be part of the conversation. Joanna, it says, yeah, her spicy cat. Ella's quite spicy. Ella's a spicy cat. It's nice meeting you for the first time. I know that I had Kat Ward of Paranormal Heart podcast, who's part of our UPRN family network here. And you talked a little bit through the chat and had reached out after. And I'm so glad that you did. It's been a pleasure doing a little bit of research. I tried to not do too much because it's fun to approach this with fresh eyes as well too. But you've written a lot of books. And we're going to be talking about some of those today. I would like to hear about your first paranormal experience or your first conscious memory, or how old you were and what that was like for you.
Well, it was a long time ago. It was when I was 13 years old.
Right.
It's the only thing I remember from being 13, but it was after my granddad had passed, and
Right.
I was home alone and with our family dog, and everybody else in my family was out. And my grandfather appeared to me in full color. He started coming together in two rooms away. And when I saw him manifest in total, I was so scared I grabbed the dog and ran outside.
Oh.
So people
Did
have
you
said,
share that experience with your family? Did you share that you had that? And what was their reaction? Did you receive support, understanding?
I did. I shared with my mom and dad, and didn't tell my brothers. But my mother said, "Okay, we have to talk," because she had the ability, and she was afraid to use it.
Right.
Her father, the one that appeared to me, had the ability, and a cousin
Right.
had the ability. So I shelved that until I had a puppy who died tragically in 2005 when his leash opened. And he reawakened my abilities, and he taught me how pets communicate from the afterlife.
So it was not like a gradual muscle that was building. It was something that you pushed to the back and then got blown wide open.
Right. Yeah.
That's hard to adjust to. Like, that's a lot. One, trauma from grief and processing how that passing happened for you. And then this sensory overload in connecting with spirit as well too. How did you show yourself grace through that process? Because that's a lot.
It really is. But the thing is that I'm the kind of person that journals things. So every time, right from the beginning, whenever my dog Buzz had come through, which was pretty much 1 hour after he passed, that night I wrote everything down in a journal, and I continued to do that. And that became the basis for part of my first book. So I channeled it into something purposeful.
So with the clairs, see, hear, feel, taste, smell, how do you receive spirit?
All of the above.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's telepathic.
Yeah. And I find it interesting because people always ask, does it sound like English in your head? Is it pictures in your head? Is it outside eye, outside ear, inside ear, outside ear? How does that process work for you?
It's both English and images and feelings and emotions. So I will say that I have encountered some earthbound ghosts, people who spoke in different languages.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand what they were saying.
Yeah.
But for the most part, everything comes through in a language that I understand.
Yeah.
Especially with pets.
Have you run across, or at any point in time, a pet that does a pet always transition, or does a pet get stuck or earthbound? Is that potential there? And have you ever run across that?
In the 20 years I've been doing this, there's only there have been 3 or 4 earthbound pets.
So why do you feel that happens?
The reason that happens is because pets have an innate sense of what is good, and good places, safe places to go. And like humans, when their physical body dies, it couples with their memories and personality and the knowledge of this life we live with their energy. And that's what I call soul. And we have a choice. We have a choice to cross over, what I call it, a spirit, to the other side, or choose to stay earthbound as a ghost in a fixed location of our choosing. And because when we first pass, that doorway opens because we are at the peak of our energy. They can sense good and peace and love on the other side. So that's where they go. Humans are not that bright, so they can sometimes elect to stay earthbound as a ghost for one reason or the other. You can tell I'm a dog dad.
So, it's super interesting for me because have friends who are pet mediums as well too, right? And we have these sort of discussions because I've always been able to connect to the other side. So like age 5 is my first conscious memory of connecting, also at my
Wow.
grandparents' house. And it's been a full-time career for almost 20 years for me as well too. So I get wigged out with animals when they come in, and I'm more comfortable with the people when they're coming through. I still get the pets, but I would not ever promote myself as a pet medium. And so we have these discussions, and I would like to pose the same question to you. Do they feel different for you, having pets coming through and having people in spirit, or like souls of spirits, souls of people that were here? Does it feel different for you when they come in? How do they present differently?
So pets are always about love for me. It's always love and peace.
So true.
Yeah. And with people, it's different. It's based on their personalities. Granted, pets have their own, individual personalities. Some can be stubborn, hard-headed. Others can be, withhold affection, and so forth. But people have much more, prominent personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that when people cross over and become spirit, they become aware of their bad habits and so forth, and they tend to amend those on the other side, and then they ask for forgiveness for the living people.
Agreed. Yeah.
But earthbound ghosts maintain those nasty personalities, if you will.
They do.
So they don't get that opportunity to learn because they haven't transitioned.
So do pets learn on the other side too? Do their souls evolve, or are they always kind of at that space of greatest good, I guess?
They're usually at that high level, but they do gain an awareness of a number of things. So they gain an awareness of what we do whenever, wherever we go, doesn't matter. And they can, as spirits, they can contact us anywhere, any place, anytime in the world. And I've run into that, and I've seen that with my own pets who passed away.
Omnipotent, just like angels, because they are.
They are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed. There's lots of questions that I have about pets. I want to just dial back just for a quick second, if we could. Your background in science, has that influenced, or how does that influence spirit world? How does that change what you bring to the table when you're doing paranormal work or mediumship work?
Well, it's helped me explain a lot of things, actually. So by trade, I'm a scientist. I'm a meteorologist.
Right.
And I happily retired 6 months ago. So now I can.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You see, there's a benefit for being old.
Well, I wish you would not say that you're old. No. Do you feel old? No, probably not. Do you not? And retirement opens up opportunities. That's the word I hear. Retirement, opportunity.
I still feel like I'm in my mid-30s, although that was a long time ago. But I would tell you and everybody else that's listening, it's important to exercise every single day, 15 to 20 minutes at least, because it keeps you healthy, and mentally fit as well. But so science does play into what I do, because I try to explain the paranormal using science.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So for instance, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's all about energy. So there's a law of thermodynamics called the law of conservation of energy, which I'm sure you are well aware of, but it means that energy can't be destroyed. It can only be transformed. So when we die, those physical energies that are within us, like cell splitting, like thoughts that are little electrical impulses, that's energy, and it couples with memories, personality, and knowledge to form that soul. Then we make that choice. Because we're at peak energy, we can open a doorway to the other side, and I'll explain how that works too. Or we can choose to stay earthbound at a fixed location that we're familiar with, or where we died. That's why prisons are haunted. Battlefields are haunted. Hospitals are also haunted.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's I find that's because hospitals are haunted because the people awaken as a soul, if you will, an entity, and they're confused about where they are, and then they linger too long.
Mm.
So, so getting back to the energy thing, so because earthbound ghosts and spirits who've crossed are energy, they need energy to get strong enough to communicate. And what I've found is that there are two types of energy that they use. They use physical energies like heat, light, water, and electricity.
Mm-hmm.
And they use emotional energies. Spirits who've crossed use love, faith, and hope. That gives them energy enough to connect with us.
Right.
Earthbound ghosts use negative emotional energy. Fear, anxiety, depression, and anger fuel them. Although the types of negative and positive energy don't have any impact on their personalities. That's different. It's separate.
Agree. Yeah.
So those are the two energies that they use.
Cold spots.
Mm-hmm.
I want. Yep. Can we chat about that? Can you chat about that for a second?
Yes. Yeah, I think I figured out why we feel cold spots whenever there's a ghost or a spirit that's present. And scientifically, when you look at it, fast-moving molecules of air are warm air, like those in the tropics. Slow-moving molecules of air are cold air, like those in the Arctic. So, in order for a ghost, earthbound, or a spirit crossed over, to use to create a cold spot, what they do is they take the energy of motion of air molecules, they absorb it, slowing down those air molecules and creating a cold spot right where they're manifesting.
Interesting. I know that when I've done very large events or had very full days of sessions and sat down beside my kids, so they're adults now, but when they were younger, it would be freezing cold all around me. And you could, it was like the movies where you could see my breath. It was that cold after doing all of that work. Mm-hmm. And the kids would always get freaked out. But, you know, when we watch Sixth Sense, they're like, that's my mom. That's how that works. So you see his breath in that one scene. Lois Clark is just sharing a comment, and let's bring that up for you. She is sharing, I always say this, is it dachshund? Is that the right way to pronounce it?
Dachshund.
Thank you.
Doc.
Thank you. You be prepared. It's going to happen quite a bit during our 2-hour time together where I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly.
Oh, that's okay. I have 3.
Oh, that's brilliant.
3 dots.
So she's saying her daughter's her daughter's dog making her yawn sound when she wants to let me know that she is here.
Yes. So pets will communicate the way that they did in life from the afterlife. So whether it be a yawn or a bark, scratching at the door, nails on the floor, jingling their collar. When our Weimaraner passed, she used to go up the stairs to go to my office when I worked in the upstairs. And after she passed, I heard her footsteps going upstairs at night when I was in bed downstairs.
Oh, but that's comforting. Was that comforting?
Yeah, it's very comforting. Yeah, and she's always around me. She's been amazing.
Michelle Plummer, you're one of the funniest people I know. I'm so glad that you're part of the chat today. Okay. I used to do hair for a living. I didn't, prior to stepping into mediumship full time, I was a hairstylist, right? So balancing what I was feeling when I was working with clients, because it was such a personal, I was in their energetic space.
Mm-hmm.
They shared, it was a lot to have that balance. So when you were working in your science field, was it very focused in your lane, and the spiritual world was over here compartmentalized to the side, or did it get blurred at any point in time?
Well, at work, I had to keep it separate. I couldn't talk about my conversations with dead people or pets.
Yeah.
But outside, once I was outside of work, the two areas meshed.
Right.
So one thing.
Well, with retirement now, it's kind of, going to be
Oh yeah,
even more so out in the open, right? Like,
there's no boundaries.
I love it for you. I love that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to address with you while we were talking about energy is that another thing scientifically that I figured out is about why ghosts get stuck. People have wondered that, and I've wondered that for a long time. But last summer, I was thinking more and more about the energy part of the equation. And because a ghost, an earthbound ghost, and a spirit who's crossed over are energy, think of them as a battery. In the beginning, when the battery is made, it has the highest charge they could possibly have. Over time, though, if you have a battery in like a flashlight, that battery charge is going to drop significantly over time.
Right.
And so that's the way I look at it. What happens with a ghost is once they stay earthbound for a while, that charge drops so far that they don't have enough energy to open the doorway to the other side anymore, which is why they get stuck and why they need paranormal investigators to pool their emotional energies to open a doorway for them.
If the paranormal investigators are consciously aware enough to open.
Yes. Yeah, I've done a lot of crossings over.
Yeah. It's not everybody's intention though, and not everyone understands the process of it, right?
Yes, that's true.
Do you run into earthbound spirits frequently?
No.
For me, it's rare. For me, it's a rare thing to run into. And investigations is one thing, and sessions are something totally different. But it's been rare for me, really.
Yeah. So the only time I run into earthbound ghosts are when I go into maybe an historic property or a given place that may be famous for them. But there aren't a lot of ghosts, compared to the population of the earth. With all the ghost hunting shows and so forth, they make it sound like, the whole world is full of dead people walking around, but it's really not the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the coffee shops, one on every corner, right?
Right.
And it's not.
No.
Yeah. When you connect with earthbound spirit, does it feel vibrationally or energetically different for you than one that is crossed over? Could you explain how that feels for you?
Sure. So I call the earthbound ones ghosts.
Okay.
And I call the ones that crossed over spirits because they really are different because of location. So I've also found that earthbound ghosts cannot communicate with those in spirit on the other side. Being an earthbound ghost is like being trapped in an isolation prison cell where you can't speak to anybody unless you're lucky enough to run into a medium or a medium walks into your home.
And they're always seeking a light though, right? Like they're always seeking whoever's got that light to try to get attention to.
Yes. And as a paranormal investigator too, our tech people always pick up help me, and help is the help they're looking for is to cross over.
Yeah.
So you asked about the energy.
Yeah. How they feel different, or do they feel different?
So because spirits are positive emotional energy, they always come through to me in a very peaceful way. Ghosts are negative emotional energy, so they can cause me or any living person, doesn't matter, and I can give you an example of this on an investigation, to feel anxious or depressed or sad or nervous or even angry. And I can feel that energy. So I can distinguish between an earthbound entity versus one that crossed over.
For me, it feels like slogging through mud. When your boots get stuck in the mud, and then they sound more like the teacher from Charlie Brown. I'm like, oh, here we go. We're gonna. if it's not light, loving, fast, simple, easy, it's, then I know that they're crossed over, when they have that frequency to them. But when it feels like I'm trying to slog through mud, then I know that there's an issue that we need to help with.
Yeah, that's a great visual for trying to get through negative energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, slogging through mud. And the teacher from Charlie Brown, wah, wah, wah. It has a little bit of that. And I find, for people who are not consciously aware, that can affect them, that negative energy of affecting you to be depressed, to be sad or angry, whether it's to get your attention or to feed off of you or both, depending on what that ghost's personality or their actions are. So I think the more that you are educating people in the way that you do is very important for people to understand.
Yeah, I always tell people that if you think you have a ghost, they need to cross over, because even if they have a great personality, and I've run into some who were very nice people who were dead and stay behind, one at a bookstore, but because they're negative emotional energy, they not only absorb negative emotional energy, but they radiate it, so that they're impressing those emotions upon the living people in the house, which will cause more consternation, more tension between the people that are in the house. And that's why it's not good for ghosts to stay, and it's not good for people to stay with ghosts.
Some spirits, like some ghosts, will stay. Like they just choose. Yeah. It's like they need therapy. They need a lot of talking and a lot of let's talk it out.
Like I said, they keep their personalities, and I find that being a paranormal investigator, trying to get them to cross over, is like trying to be a marketing promoter for the other side. Mm-hmm. I felt like, okay, you people don't know me. You're earthbound. You don't know me, but I'm going to tell you what's better for you than staying earthbound as a ghost. And it's hard to get people to believe you.
Oh, mm-hmm. Yes. And would you say that, so this is kind of a twofold question, that your thoughts or beliefs prior to, so if you believe you're going nowhere before you pass, how does that affect your transition? And if you have that belief, does that affect the transition of your pet? If you believe that they can that affect transition?
So no matter, I find that whatever anybody had believed here on Earth, a lot of what we believe here on Earth isn't really real. What we think.
Yes.
And it's kind of like a wake-up call when our physical body dies, and then we're suddenly faced with, we get that quick life review and we make a decision, and then we're suddenly faced with either going to a good place or staying behind and going into hiding, if you will, as a ghost. So we have to make that choice, and many people are intuitive too about what's a good place versus what's not a good place. Mm-hmm. And I find that ghosts, people stay behind earthbound as a ghost for several reasons. They think they can help their loved ones cope with their passing, which they can't. They think that they can tell people where they left their will or whatever. And most of the people that I've found that have stayed behind, either they committed crimes, they killed people, or they're very conservative in their religions, and they believe they're going to a very bad place. And what I've heard from spirit is that there's nothing but peace and love on the other side. There is no fiery pit that's going to flay your skin off. It's just peace and love.
I've not heard that either, but I've also not seen like the big pearly gates either.
Yeah, there's no pearly gates either. It's just so So I've asked spirit, and including my mother and dad, to tell me what's going on the other side, and they describe it like being in fog because it's energy. We can't, as humans, as living people, we can't understand what energy looks like. Try to picture, how a lightning bolt looks. That's what it's like on the other side. I know a lot of, I know spirit will give us as mediums images to convey to people who are grieving, like, oh, my dog is running through a field and sitting in the sun and so forth. But spirits do that so that humans can relate to it. But I don't think we will ever understand what being energy means until we get over there.
Yeah, I agree with you that there's stuff that we are not meant to know until it's our time to know. And for sure. Do you feel, I had another question and it just went somewhere else. I don't know. It'll come back to me in a minute.
Well, go get it. No, I'm just kidding.
I will try. Heidi, thank you for being here. So Heidi's question, thoughts on how that energy affects one's health when we're talking about earthbound. Mentally, I can see it, but physically, does it affect us?
Sure. So I was on an investigation with Monique Too Soon. She's, I'm going to throw her name out there. She's a fantastic paranormal investigator. She's actually a paranormal drag queen too. The only one.
Co-author
of my latest book, Haunting of Emery Estate, which I hope to talk to you about later. Yes. And she and I were on an investigation, and there was a young woman there who apparently was taking medication for anxiety and depression. And during this paranormal investigation, there was a very headstrong, bullying, strict ghost. He was a guy that lived there. And he walked into that room, and his negative energy was so overwhelming. Plus, his personality was controlling.
Right.
He was so overwhelming to this woman, even though she was medicated for her anxiety and depression. She told us she was in trouble, and we had to take her out of that room and do some things to help protect her. So yes, absolutely, they can affect you with their negative emotional energy. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell that full story later.
Yeah. I'm hoping that schedules jive, and I can have both of you on the show to talk about some of those investigations and how you connected.
Cool.
Contessa, we're going to bring this up for you as well too. So Contessa's asking, so we have a choice in coming back. Do we have a choice in coming back? I thought we had to come back if we had not learned what we were meant to learn on our Earth journey.
Yeah, I think we all come back. In this life, I have not met one person who is deemed perfect. The only ones I've met deemed perfect are pets. So, but our pets will come back with us also in the next life.
Do they do choose us as part of a soul plan before we come, or how does that work?
Yeah. So once so I look at love as being like an invisible spider web that just connects all of us who know each other and care for each other. And that connection lasts, it transitions to the other side. And whoever we are connected to in this life, we will be connected to in the next life in some way.
Right.
And I don't think that pets come back. They don't transition kingdoms. They stay in the animal kingdom. And humans pretty much stay in the human kingdom. And somebody asked me that before, and they said, well, I think my office mate may have been a cat because he's moody. And I said, well, tell me this. Have you ever walked over to your office mate's cubicle and found him licking his hand like a paw?
Right.
No. So,
There are some people that do believe that their grandbaby is, Uncle Joe, or,
oh, sure.
they really do. And I'm not sure where I sit. I have not had that experience to shift my perspective. That doesn't mean that I won't shift my perspective if I run across that. But at this point, I've just not had that experience.
Yeah, me neither. But I did read a great book about a young boy who had the memory of a World War II pilot. I can't remember what the name of the book is. And he was born in the Pearl Harbor, where the pilot went down.
Interesting.
So, and he came back, and up till 8 years old, he remembered every aspect of World War II fighting, aircraft, and he even remembered the guy's name. He remembered where he grew up. He remembered he had a sister. The parents believed him finally and took him to meet the elderly sister, and it was like they knew each other from before. So it's not to say that it can't happen, reincarnation, quickly, but it's been very rare in my experience.
But what about like that person coming back as the cat? Like, because that comes up quite a bit, right? Like 2 days after my loved one died, this, stray appeared at the door. And
so I have an answer for that. And it's just like when you adopt a new pet. So when you have a pet that passed and you adopt a new pet, and then you start to see some of the things that your old pet, the pet that passed, used to do as habits of your new pet. That's a sign that your new pet, your pet that passed, is visiting and training your new pet to do things they used to do. So you will know that the new pet is also around.
Yeah. That's kind of my experience too. That's how I've seen it and explain it as well too. Like they've got their own spirit guide on the other side, helping them be the best that they can be for you and the support that you're needing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you prefer, oh, sorry, Joanna, I think it is, right? Joanna has a lovely cat in spirit named Gorby. Gorby is everything. Gorby is very sweet when he comes through. Where was I going to go? Okay. Transforming grief through sessions and through a reading. It doesn't closure. Do you use the word closure much? I don't find there's closure.
No, I never use the word closure.
Yeah, I don't either. But having a session can transform your grief. Do you have a monumental story, a story that sticks out about how that a reading where that grief shifted? I don't know. I'm not saying that very well, but you get the gist. I wish we were Vulcan mind melding,
I will tell you that over the years that I've been doing this, I've been doing this since 2005. That there are a number of people who have contacted me that have said that they are to the point of suicide because their pet died. Yeah. Yes. And I have had to do readings with their pet, and that has helped them understand their pet had passed, their pet's still around, and that has helped them heal to the point where they can finally take care of themselves again.
Have you helped clients when they're in that in between, like leading up to, if they're having to help their pet transition, so helping or tapping in to the spirit of that pet before they transition, or yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
fast,
people usually contact me
afterwards. Because I know everybody works differently. So everyone works differently, and everyone has a different, there's no rule book or ethical guideline. We're just all hoping that everyone is working from that perspective, right?
I'm
Oh, did
sorry,
we?
you
We did
froze.
freeze. Yeah, so it's so weird because on my end you froze. um, so what was I going to say? So there's no like real rule book with this. I mean, there's no ethical guideline. We all are just hoping that we are working with the highest good grace intention for everyone involved, including those that are crossed over, right? That's the hope, that we are working from a strong moral compass. Is that hope? Because people do come, and it's such a devastating loss when people are coming with pets equally with as their human loved ones that have passed, right? Do you
So
ever get emotionally overwhelmed? Do pets come in multiples? Do they come in more than one? Like, because especially when I have farmer clients, then it's like, oh my gosh, here we go. We're going to have like 8 dogs, all of them all at one time, right? So does that happen? Can you get overwhelmed that way?
it does. So this is the reason why I do my readings by email instead of talking to people.
Oh, interesting.
So number one, it's overwhelming, but number two, it takes a lot of concentration for me to hear the pet and get messages from the pet, and I can't speak to somebody at the same time.
Right.
I want to give them the best, messages I can give. And yes, sometimes people will say, I've had 3 dogs, I've had 4 cats. They all come through at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do these group chats, if you will, they talk over one another. And sometimes I can't hear which one or identify which one is saying what. So I will just write down what they said. And I said, the pet parent will have to figure out who this is coming from. I just did a reading for a cat that passed. And the 5 cats showed up on the other side. Now the woman didn't say anything. The mom didn't say anything about having cats on the other side, but 5 of them showed up. 2 of them were in the shadow, so I couldn't see them. The other 3, I was able to describe them. One was black with a white tuft of fur. Another one was gray, had like gray around their eyes and a white stripe around their nose. Another one was a tiger stripe. And she identified each and every one of those cats in her life. So they do come together, and sometimes, and that's why I also ask for the pet's name, because I have to call the pet out.
Yeah.
I'll say, okay, buddy, you come forth, and everybody else sit.
Yeah, it's like parting the Red Sea. Y'all need to step to the side, and this one come forward. And thank you very much.
Yeah, and I do have to tell you, Carolyn, that sometimes they come through with so much emotion that I will sit here in the computer while I'm trying to type their answers, and I will be bawling my eyes out. Yes. And that's why I want to do it at home.
I don't, because people will say it must be so nice to have that ability. It must be great to have that gift. And it is. It's truly humbling to be able to be of service for both those in spirit and the people here. Being of service is life-changing, right? The way that we choose to show up in the world shifts when we do this work full time. But there is a toll, and we do have to cry and purge it out, and it's exhausting. And then, so how do you fill your cup up and show yourself grace after that?
Well, I fill it up with coffee.
Right, but that doesn't fuel your spirit. That just
Oh, yes, it does. Black coffee and 3 cookies a night. That's what I do, and that makes me feel better. Yeah.
Oh,
Caffeine and sugar. Those are the staples of life.
so funny. It's energy. But do you get hungry after? It's a lot. It takes a lot of energy to do this as well, too, right? It's emotionally and mentally taxing.
So usually I do my readings at night. Yes, it wipes me out emotionally, physically, mentally.
Yeah.
So I do them at night until about 10:30, and then uh,
Wow.
but I take our dogs out and come back
Yeah.
in and crash
Yeah.
because I'm wiped out. So that's how it works.
That's
So I don't know how
amazing.
people do it during the day. Do you ever do readings during the day?
Oh, yes.
How do
Yes,
you
I
do that?
do. I do them during the day, and then I'll do a full big event at night sometimes too, because I'm not always very kind to myself with my scheduling. And then on the way home from said events, I will call my daughter on speaker so I'm not driving while talking on the phone, and I'll cry to her, "Baby, I'm so tired. I just need you to talk to me for a few minutes so I get home." And there are weeks by the end of the week I'm in the fetal position because I'm just needing
Yeah.
to do nothing and redirect. And being outside is very important. Exercise, like being in nature and the things that bring us joy, right? Whatever that is.
Hug a dog. I
That's
have
what,
three of them.
honestly, that's what I do. I
Yeah.
get Bruce and Nora and away we go. Dogs, cats, birds, horses, guinea pigs, turtles, um,
Rabbits.
rabbits. Yeah. Do they feel frequency or energetically different to you? Do they communicate differently? Um, how does that, in your experience?
They communicate a lot of the things that each other do, really. But it depends on what type of animal it is. For instance, a horse will never be inside your house. So they
Mm.
can't tell you, like, they can't tell you where the kitchen is, where the treat cabinet is. They can't lay on your bed. They can't jump on the couch. Um, it's all how they lived their life around people. Um, but so I can communicate with any domesticated pet, any pet that's been around people. I cannot communicate with wild animals because they can't relate to our habits, to our language, to our routine, to anything.
Mm.
Um, there's a distinction, by the way, between pet mediums and animal communicators that I found.
Yes.
Animal communicators can communicate with living animals.
Yeah.
I don't have that ability, except for my three boys. um,
Because
so
they're your babies.
yeah,
Like, mm.
yeah. Well, and sometimes I feel like I'm trying to communicate with them, and they ignore me because they're dachshunds. They're like, "Okay, I hear you, but I'm not doing what you're telling me."
Is that their personality?
Some of them, yeah.
Interesting. So Jody is just sharing that her horse that passed turns on my laptop to let me know she's here.
That's awesome. So, yeah, that makes perfect sense because so spirits are energy and they can affect electricity, water, other things. So whenever they're present, they can trigger that laptop to come on. Um, I did a reading for this gentleman, Kevin, and his wife, Lauren, who lost their dog 2 years ago. They came to an event that I did, and I actually did a reading for them after the event. And their dog, Popeye, it is tremendous with giving signs, absolutely tremendous. So Kevin has a giant speaker in his den, and it's on remote. And his little boy, who's 3 years old, has seen their dog in spirit.
Oh,
And
amazing.
one day, their little boy said, "Look, Daddy, that Popeye is in the room." And suddenly, the speaker went off. So right where Popeye was walking, suddenly the speaker went on.
Wow.
And there's no other way to turn it on other than a remote.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So are there consistent signs from pets that people can look for? People look for dimes and cardinals and rainbows. Certain, those ones are pretty consistent with loved ones,
Mhm.
human loved ones that are in spirit. So are there consistent signs from pets that you see?
So so pets will get help from humans too. So pets can provide those same things.
Mm.
Um, and by the way, if you find a coin, look at the year because it could indicate the year of birth or the year of passing. So that would tell you who it is. So dogs and cats typically will give us. I mentioned all auditory signs and so forth. The cold spots that you may feel. You may see print on your bath mat. I've had somebody take a picture of that and show me that.
Oh, interesting.
Or their shirt coming out of the wash, it had a paw print on it.
Didn't you just post a picture on your social media of, I don't know if it was a sheet or a pillow with a cat paw?
Yes. Yeah. A cat indentation. Yeah. A paw
Yeah.
indentation. Yep. Somebody sent me that.
Yeah.
And you may find like snoot marks if you have a dog on the back window of your car when your dog used to sit in the back.
Right.
Another thing they do is they may leave fur around. You may find little bits of fur. And usually I find that, like people, they come around birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays. Those are the times they come around.
Yeah.
Dreams, of course, are the easiest way for them to come through.
Does
And
the
I always
grief get in
people,
the way, though?
yeah,
Sorry.
actually, yeah, no, you took the words right out of my mouth. Grief will act as a block. And the reason is that spirits are positive emotional energy. Grief is a negative emotional energy. And when we are deep in grief, our energy level for grief is so high. And spirits sometimes don't have enough energy to get through that wall.
Mhm.
So that's why it takes some time. But pets find a way to go around that. They will come to somebody else in a dream that they know will communicate with that person.
Oh, interesting.
So I had a funny story. A woman came up to me and said to me that she was so angry with her husband because when her dog passed, she couldn't dream of her dog. And she said, but my husband has had 2 dreams of my dog, and I'm so mad at him. And I said, your dog doesn't want you to be mad at your husband. Your dog's going through your husband because your grief is so deep. So
Yeah.
your dog doesn't want to cause fights in your house.
Yeah. And see your husband as an earth angel who's delivering the message. Sometimes it's more believable for people when it's coming from somewhere else too. So they don't, because some people go up into I always call it the Chihuahua brain. So up into the Chihuahua brain that, coulda, shoulda, woulda, not real, just making that up because I really want it to happen. Right. I'm just going to do our station ID really quickly, and then I'm going to bring up Melissa's question for us. I'll put it up on the screen in a second. So if you are just joining us, thank you for being here. You are listening to Spirit Switchboard, and I am your host, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. And today's guest is author, pet medium, and medium Rob Gutro. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
So I'm going to bring up this question from Melissa. Thank you, Melissa, for being here. And, because I'm a Ryan fan, I hope he had a good birthday. Please let him know that I'm sending along a happy birthday to Ryan. So Melissa's question, Melissa fosters, very big on fostering and rescue dogs. So her question is, have you ever connected with rescue pets, dogs who were strays or street dogs prior to being rescued?
All the time. So my husband and I have worked as volunteers for dog rescues, for about 15 years. So we've done fosters and transports and home visits and pulled a lot of dogs out of the shelter and all kinds of things. So we have a lot of foster failures, which we adopted. And currently, our 3 dogs are all animal rescues. They were all in kill shelters, and rescues took them in. So yes, often too, people will say to me, "What was my dog's life like back before they came to me?" And I can tell you that those dogs are very, they're very clear about what they went through before. I just did a reading for a woman who had 2 medium-sized dogs. I can't remember what breed they were. And she said they both came to her from a rescue. And both of them told me that they were tied up. One of them never had enough water. The other one never had enough food. One of them lived in filthy conditions. The other one was never paid attention to, never got health care. And and she said, those are actually the stories that I got from the rescues when these dogs came to me. So they were conveying their past. So yes, I talk to rescue dogs all the time.
And do they express gratitude for the care that they receive?
Absolutely do. Yeah. So the other thing too is that everybody who adopts one of these dogs who have been through the mill, if you will, needs to know that they will be connected to you in spirit, but they will never connect to their abusers. They will never connect to their past.
Do they hold anger or resentment towards their abusers?
No, they're just very disappointed in them. Animals are.
Is there a soul lesson for the abuser?
Well, the abuser is a soul lesson when they die.
Yeah, I know that for sure. When they do that life review, they get to feel all of that for sure.
They do. You know, and I'll tell you a personal story. Our dog Dash, he's a little Dachshund Chihuahua mix. He's 8 pounds. He was in a kill shelter, and we pulled him out and we fostered him and then adopted him like a month later. He was 10, and the woman who turned him in was dumb enough to write on the turn-in form that her 4-year-old daughter kept pulling his tail so hard until he turned around and nipped her. And then she wrote on the form, so I kicked the little one all the way across the floor, and he's coming in here to die. That's what she wrote on a turn-in form. So as a pet parent, I was outraged. I said to the shelter, "Can you give me her name and number and or address, because this woman needs a real talking to." And they're like, no, we can't do that. I'm like, well, she will suffer some retribution.
Yes.
Yeah, on the other side. I just can't understand people that abuse animals, or anybody for that matter.
The first dog that we had, Quinn, was found in a cemetery. So I thought right away she was like perfect for me, right? So she's from a cemetery. But she was so tiny and had burn marks, round, circled burn marks. It was devastating. It was,
oh my gosh.
Like her trauma was, she really struggled. Quinn struggled. Like the trauma was a lot. So, I mean, I know it doesn't even, so doing this for 20 years, you've done this for 20 years, and myself almost coming up to 20 years, it doesn't change the emotional factor. I still need to cry after, because the trauma is real. Pets, people, and I don't know. I'd like to say that I don't get shocked anymore, but I still get shocked at that kind of stuff. The lack of love, the lack of empathy, the lack of compassion is, I understand why you would just want to hang out with pets.
There you go.
For sure. Melissa is saying foster failure is the best. I am as well too. Melissa's got awesome. A beautiful, yes.
Thank you, Melissa.
Our rescue saves discarded puppy mill dogs. Sorry, I just wanted to put that up there for you, Melissa. Our rescue saves discarded puppy mill dogs primarily. It's heartbreaking. Melissa, do you want to you could put a link to the rescue if you want in the chat, so people can volunteer, donate, that people can support. If you want to put the rescue in the chat for people, that would be great. Yeah, Contessa agreed. I will never understand people that abuse animals, and animals know. We talk about that all the time. Animals know if they know a person's character, right? And so we need to pay attention to that.
Yes. And as a side note, one of the things that I do is I do fundraising lectures for animal rescues around the country. So I teach people how pets communicate from the afterlife. And I came up with this idea so that the rescue will charge maybe $20 or something. I will do this lecture. It's interactive. People share their stories.
Yeah.
All the money that they charge goes to the rescue. I don't ask for anything. I just sell my books if I have them.
Yeah.
So I've been able to do animal rescue fundraisers for the last 6 years, and I've raised thousands of dollars for various rescues up and down the East Coast. So if
Amazing.
anybody has an animal rescue that is interested in hosting me to do that, they can contact me and I'll talk to them about it.
So for our audio listeners who are not seeing the ticker along the bottom, you can reach Rob at Pet Spirits, right? Correct?
.com.
Petspirits.com or robgutro.com. So
Mhm.
pets, pets plural, right? No, pet spirits.
Yeah.
Oh, Annette Glover, thank you for being here. Informative session. Thank you for sharing. Oh, look at her photo.
Oh, awesome.
So selectively listen.
She has a dachshund, a black and tan. Yeah, we have a
Yeah,
black and tan also.
that's beautiful. I'm just going to put it up again for you, Melissa. So for our audio listeners who are not seeing the chat, it's in Ontario as well too. But I mean, people can donate from anywhere. Hobohaven@petrescue.ca. I think I don't helping pause. I think is outside of St. Thomas. That's where we just did that event as well too. They're always so agreed, Victoria. Animals are my heart and soul. I think they are for all of us, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you feel that there's one animal that communicates better, more clear, or does it depend on how they passed? Is there too many variables? Is it you? You are in alignment more with a dog than you are a cat? Does it matter? Are there ones that are more clear than others, or it all comes in the same?
No, it all pretty much comes the same. I mean, I've communicated with birds and rabbits and a pet rat and a gerbil, horses, and so forth. Yeah, so they can. So they will share visuals of things with me, and then they share emotions, and then they will repeat words that they've heard. One of the things that people should know is that if you have to make that choice and help them cross over, they understand what you're going through, because as I mentioned, they sense your emotions. I mean, they know when you're happy, when you're sad, when you're stressed, when you're mad at them. They'll go in the other room until you cool off. But when you are making that decision for them, they can sense the stress that you're under.
Yeah.
And they know that you are trying to do something in their best interest. So they do not want you to feel guilty about that. Instead, they always come through and they're very grateful that you had the strength and the courage to do what needed to be done to help them pass in an easier manner.
Yeah.
So there's no need to feel guilty about it, although I myself have felt guilty all the time. But the messages are continuous that thank you for doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Do you find that they come in showing you like, thank you? I always get like, I had the best burger that day, or they gave me like this, they show that they understand that they were given this beautiful gift before they transition, right? Like that extra bit of love beforehand.
Yeah, sometimes they do. It depends on, of course, it depends on their circumstances.
Right.
This one dog named Buddy that came through to me. He was pretty amazing, actually. He told me about ice cream on his last day,
Oh,
and his parents confirmed that. But he also told me so much more. And this Buddy's story is actually a great example of what a pet absorbs. Buddy showed me that he showed me that his favorite place to walk with his parents was in this forest that had the tallest pine trees I've ever seen. And it was a dirt road, and the pine trees had to be hundreds of feet high. So when I was doing this reading, I was typing it up and I described it that way. And then Buddy told me that outside of his parents, his favorite person was a woman named Elsie. And I saw the word in my mind spelled out Elke. And I thought, that doesn't say Elsie. So I wrote all this down, and the pet parents wrote me back. I think their names were Brett and Diane. It's in my Pets in the Afterlife 1 book.
Yeah.
They wrote me back and they said, well, every summer we would take Buddy to Germany, and we would walk through the Thurgarten forest, which is a pine forest that has the tallest pine trees in the world. And Buddy's favorite person outside of us was my mother-in-law, Elsie, spelled Elke. And Carolyn, I read that email and I almost fell on the floor. I thought, how in the world?
Right? But that's the trust factor. It's the trust factor for us that it has nothing to do with us. We just receive and share because it's not ours to filter.
Yeah.
Not ours to filter. And it does leave us in, wow. Like,
yeah.
That's a gold nugget moment. I always call it a TV worthy. That's a TV worthy moment right there. TV worthy. The books, can you talk about that series, the pet series?
Sure. So Pets in the Afterlife 1 that was my first one of the series. I have 4. Pets in the Afterlife 1 is the story, not only the story about my first dog, Buzz, that passed away. He was a Weimaraner. He passed at 7 months old when his leash opened, and all the signs that he gave me. But there are many other stories, including Buddy's story, in there to teach you how pets communicate. That particular book has chapters from 3 other mediums who are friends of mine and communicated with their own pets that passed. It also goes into the science of behavior, how dogs, the level of intelligence of pets and how they can communicate, and then explains the science of energy. So that's like a good book to start with. Pets in the Afterlife 2 is dogs, cats, horses, birds, all different communications from those. Pets in the Afterlife 3 is only about dogs. This is Pets in the Afterlife 3. And on all of these books, by the way, on the covers of all of these books, except for 4, are my dogs in spirit.
Oh, wow.
So Pets 1, 2, and 3. So there's 4 dogs.
That's very personal.
It is. And each one of our dogs has a huge chapter in these books because they've all been very communicative.
Right.
Pets in the Afterlife 4 is all cats. So
love that.
Yeah. So and there are some amazing stories in each one of these books from different dogs and cats, and I can get into 1 or 2 if you want.
And it's comforting, and it's educational, and it's maybe a guide for people to surrender in and relax and trust how they may be receiving signs themselves from their pets, right? I just want to bring up a couple of comments. Jackie White, who is an animal communicator, though she doesn't say that she's an animal communicator maybe just yet, but I feel that she is, and definitely working towards that, right, Jackie? Back to an earlier conversation, my experience with a childhood family dog came back to me in a cat body with me as an adult to complete more personal healing and get me on the path to learning and doing animal communication. We had such a deep soul connection. Jackie's so gentle too when she's connecting in. Denise Mitz. I miss my rescue. He rests at the farmhouse, and the day before he passed, there It was a huge, murder of crows, 15 or so, were around the area where we planned to put him. The next day when we brought him home, there were a few crows, but after we laid him to rest, a small hawk flew over. Those are beautiful signs, Denise.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Would you like to share? Is there a story that you would like to share from the book?
Sure. From Pets in the Afterlife 3. So we had a dachshund named Franklin, and he passed when he was 16 and a half. He had a disc that slipped in his back, and it really was rendering he was in a lot of pain. He was on 2 pain medications every day, and he could barely move his back legs. So we had to make the choice, unfortunately, to let him cross over. So pets will also give you a sign that they're ready to go, and they will isolate themselves. They won't eat. They won't interact. They will refuse their favorite treat, and so forth. And that's what Franklin did. He made sure that he pulled himself away into a corner of the kitchen using his front legs,
right,
to get away from us. But Franklin, being a dachshund, he never missed a treat. So after he passed, the night he passed, it was in May, and actually it was a year ago yesterday, so it's appropriate that I'm talking about him tonight. I was going to talk about Dolly, but Franklin decided he wanted me to tell his story. So when Franklin passed in 2020, 5 years ago yesterday, that night, I was standing in our kitchen, and we lived in Maryland, and it was very, very hot. It was like 90. And we had we're just getting the air conditioning working. I said it was 3 treat time. 3 treat time is a nightly thing in our house around 7:30. And suddenly my left arm got freezing cold. And there was goosebumps on my left arm. My right arm was like 80 degrees.
right.
So my husband even noticed. He said, "What's wrong with you? And
Nothing
he touched my
wrong.
arm." Yeah. That's usually the question. What's wrong with you? Married life. I said, Franklin is here. I just called 3 treat time. So the next thing I know, the dogs line up, the other 3, and Carrie Lynn, they left a spot for Franklin in the middle. So they even saw him. They saw him there.
I love that.
So just my reason for telling the story is not only because it's the anniversary of his passing, thanks to him, he told me, but to let everybody know that you need to look for subtle signs. So if you have a number of pets, they can see them, they can hear them, because they have a different physiology in their eyes and their ears, their sight and their hearing.
Yeah.
Pay attention to your pets. Pay attention to cold spots. Pay attention to the routine that they used to have, like 3 treat time, because they will show up.
They do show up. They want to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they want to show up. Thank you. That was one of the questions I was going to ask you, is what advice you had for grieving pet parents. So I'm glad that we were able to address that. Hi, Sam's Pretty Paranormal. Thank you for showing up and being here in the chat. If you guys missed it, as Sam Hudley from Sam's Pretty Paranormal was on the podcast as well too. So you can look for that segment in the archives. It's pretty fun. Head over to her YouTube. She's got a pretty fun YouTube channel and does all kinds of fun stuff on her show. And she also helps out with Richie B. So Bigfoot Banter with Richie B. So she helps produce their videos and stuff as well too, and produce them. So please check them out as well. Joanna is just sharing that your story was very beautiful. So thank you very much for sharing again, because I know how deep people grieve. I had, you're welcome, Sam. I had a young fellow come for a session, and I thought he had a partner that was crossed over, this female. And I was just got the name correct. Everything was all correct. It was all evidential, all accurate. And he started laughing at me and he said, "You do realize that that was my bird, not a girlfriend." So
Oh my God.
the bird nope. That bird came in like she owned him. And he's like, "Yeah, I kind of did." It's so
Wow.
crazy. It was so crazy. Like this bird told me the music he listened to in his car on the way to the appointment, like everything,
Wow.
classes they were going to take in school. Very much loved her pet parent, very much loved her pet parent. But it was like this. They were like this. That's how I saw them moving in sync with each other, right? And I thought it was like a girlfriend or a very close friend. And he just let me do my thing. And then right at the end, he's like, "That was my pet bird." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know where a grandparent or like a human loved one was, but your bird gave accurate information. So I hope you're okay with it."
Our pets know us better than our human loved ones.
I think so too. They
Yeah.
notice all the subtle cues and things that are not, that they're not paying attention to us. Our loved ones don't love us, but we are all busy in our own things sometimes, right?
Mhm.
So pets notice all those quiet, subtle cues.
Yeah,
Oh, Mish, thank you for being here, Mish. Mish is our friend in Australia.
Oh, cool.
Yes, so she always pops in to say hi. I appreciate you being here. Do you want to shift a wee bit? Do you want to continue talking? Is there anything else that you would like to share about pet mediumship before I kind of slide us into talking about investigations?
Sure. A couple of quick things. So, pets will also use music with the help of a human loved one to let you know that they're around. And that was actually my first experience with Buzz when he passed away, because after he was killed by the car, the neighbors brought his body over to my pickup truck, put him in the back of the pickup truck so I could take him to the vet. But I walked in the house and the radio was on. I didn't leave the radio on when I left to walk him and my roommate's dog. My roommate was not home. The radio was playing, and it was Garth Brooks' song, "The Dance," about a man who lost the love of his life. Couldn't be more accurate, that song. And then there was another song that came on right afterward, same theme by Alan Jackson. I couldn't find the radio. I couldn't find where the radio was. It took me a while to find the radio. And once I found it, I turned it off at the end of that second song. But I thought, wow, those are two songs that say exactly what happened to me and Buzz. So they can use music to give you a message.
I know what I was going to say to you. Your goosebumps, I call them truth bumps.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, because then then the Chihuahua brain doesn't kick in, right? Where it's like, it's just something else. It's like an air conditioner somewhere, a window open. It's like, no, I know because I know.
Yeah. So there's so many different ways that they can communicate, and they do pay attention to everything you say. So you may be in a different, you may be walking around somewhere and you're thinking of their name, and suddenly you'll hear their name mentioned somewhere else. You'll hear their name mentioned out of the blue. You may see another pet that looks like them. And that happens because in spirit, they nudge you to go a certain way at a certain time and look a certain direction to see the pet that looks like them, so that you will know that they are around.
Do you find the more that people trust and follow those nudges, the more they'll receive?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I always tell everybody to quote Star Wars, because we just had "May the Fourth be with you." To quote Obi-Wan Kenobi, "Trust your feelings, Luke," because that's what is true.
Yeah, agreed. CP Strutshire, it's saying, "Thank you for sharing stories. I miss my senior rescue, Bella, who showed signs to cross over at 20 years. She was very special to my preteen boys during my first days as a single mom in 2005.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that. So grateful for her rescue to make our new home full of love and support. And that's it. They want to continue supporting us and showing us that love and guidance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss something? Did you see something?
Did you have to do a station ID?
I did it like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. Or do you have to do another?
No.
Okay, all right.
I appreciate that though, Contessa. I did do it.
Everybody knows where you are.
Yeah. Everybody knows I go squirrel on Red Bull and forget things. My ADHD, but I'm staying very grounded today. I'm doing very good. I'm so proud of myself. It's like a gold star sticker. No, Contessa, I appreciate that you support me in that way and understand and hold space for me. So I appreciate that.
So I have one more story for you that's kind of important.
Yes, please.
But I see that you just put up
That's okay. I'll star it and we'll bring it back up, Steph.
Okay. This is something that a question that I get all the time, and people have said, "Oh, do pets go to the same place that humans do?" Yes, every living thing goes to the same exact place. Every living thing. And one example is my dog Dolly. Dolly is a Weimaraner. She passed in 2020. She passed 5 months after our dachshund Franklin passed, that I just told you a story about. Dolly was also almost 16 years old. Dolly suffered the same spinal issue that Franklin did, but hers was sudden, and she became her back legs became inactive in an instant. No warning. But the last night that Dolly was with us, we knew, so that it happened in the evening. We called the vet for the next day because Dolly told me that she just was miserable and she didn't want to live that way. She was almost 16. For a Weimaraner, that's outliving their age by 4 years. So, wow. So I spent the night on the kitchen floor with Dolly. She slept in her bed. She was incontinent, by the way. So she was also in a diaper. And we had our little dachshund, Tyler, black and tan, is bonded to Dolly. They would eat, sleep, play together all the time, inseparable. Tyler was just a youngster. So Tyler slept against Dolly. I slept with my head on Dolly's bed. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, Dolly woke up and she struggled to get up. She struggled to sit up. Now, mind you, she couldn't use her back legs. And she kept staring at one part of the kitchen. And I told her to lay back down. And she wouldn't. So finally I said, "Okay, what is over there?" And I turned and looked. This is a hard story for me to tell, by the way. On the other side of the kitchen, there was a light. And the light was my mom and dad who passed. Our friend Ed, my husband's late partner, Franklin, Buzz, Sprite, and my family dogs. They were all there. And it was gone in an instant. And that told me that she would be okay. And they were waiting for her. The next day, after Dolly passed, I sent a text to a couple of friends and told them about Dolly. And one of them was my friend Ruth Larkin. She's known as the Beantown Medium. And I just sent her a plain text that said, "Dolly passed today." And she wrote me back. And she said, "Dolly's okay." She said she was met by your mom and dad and some guy that I don't recognize. And there was Buzz and Sprite and Franklin and 2 other dogs I didn't recognize. She saw the same thing.
Wow. Thank you for feeling safe to be vulnerable and sharing that story with all of us. Thank you.
This is why I do readings at home by myself. Yeah.
This is why I don't wear my glasses when I do sessions. Yeah, but and it is emotional. It is a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story, and thank you for sharing. And it's helpful for people who grieve and worry that their loved ones won't be there, or will they be there? And
Yes.
um, and they are. They want to reassure us that they're all together.
Okay, I need a sip of coffee.
Yes, you might have a sip of coffee. Do you want a cookie too?
Oh, I'll have 3 afterwards.
Because it's a 3-treat. It's the 7:37.
Yeah.
Batgirl84, thank you for being here. They are sharing, I have been leaving out an extra bowl of food since my old girl, Mystica. I'm going to mess it up. I'm not even sure how to phonetically sound that out. Do you see that?
Yeah, I would just say miss.
Past at 16 years, that's a lot. I have 3 cats now, and I still leave out 4 bowls. I love that. So when I started doing different events, like dining with a dad at venues and stuff like that, it was because at home, leaving out extra plates for my loved ones that were in spirit, because it was, when we got together, and it's so, I don't know, it helps me feel connected to them, and feel like it's an invitation for them to participate in those celebrations, right? Birthdays and Christmas. So I love that you do that with your pets. I love that. Jackie is sharing beautiful story. Thank you. Amazing. Big hugs. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Yes, Jackie's sharing. I get that about doing readings alone as well. Yeah, coffee away. Oh, Karen Sloot, thank you for being here as well too. It's future coffee, right? Because you're on your Saturday already.
Right? Yeah, that's right. In Australia.
Mish is sharing. I call our old dog Charlie when I need to move the sheep around.
Oh, that's awesome. And they will do that. They absolutely will do their job from spirit. Yeah.
So thank you, Mort, for being here. Mort is asking, question, please. How long after your pet passes can you start seeing signs of them?
Well, it depends on the level of your grief. So if you've had time, if your pet has had an illness for some time, and you've been able to adjust and understand that the passing is coming over time, it makes it more. It gives you a better ability to deal with it. Sudden passings are much more difficult. So it can be the same within the same week. And as I said, dreams are the easiest way, and so many other ways. If cats like to jump up on the bed, you may feel them walk across the bed. They may lay against you. Dogs may lay against you too. You may feel a coolness or a tingling in the bed, and you're wondering what in the world's going on. Am I having a nervous issue? But it can be as quick as the first week. And don't be discouraged if you don't get anything.
So extending from that question, there are mediums who have the choice, and it not right or wrong, and not judging, because we all need to work from our comfort level and belief system, that don't do sessions for people till a significant amount of time has passed since that loved one's passing. So what are your thoughts around pet passings and how quickly to do a session? I mean, I know that it depends on how available a person is, but what would you encourage people or advise people?
I encourage people to take time to grieve first, and to try and work through the passing. There are people that will not do that. As I mentioned, I've talked to a number of suicidal people, and they needed help immediately. Yeah. But for the most part, do things to remind you of your pet. Bring out pictures, talk about your pet, blog about your pet. plant some flowers in your pet's memory. Give to an animal rescue. Give money to an animal rescue in memory of your pet. I like to do that when people lose pets, is to donate to an animal rescue. So find ways to get healing for yourself. One thing that I would recommend is something that I did when Dolly passed. Dolly's my Weimaraner. I took the last toy that she had laid her head on that morning. I took that toy and I put it on my bed. And every night I put it in my bed and I hold on to it. Now, Dolly's been gone 4.5 years, but it comforts me to know that, this is the toy that she liked. This is the toy that she put her head on. And some people may think I'm silly, but
nope.
I really don't care what people think, because she is my heart dog and she's around me all the time.
Do you feel defensive for people, for clients? I get defensive for clients too. I'm like, I'm going to give you my phone number, and if you need me to stand in front of you with an FU sign so that people allow you to grieve properly, you call me. Because I get defensive that people, I find the conversations around grief are needed more.
Absolutely.
Because people get so weird about it. And then when they have someone close to them grieving, they don't know how to support that person properly. And really, they just need to hold space. Maybe bring some snacks, pass some Kleenex. You'll survive. Yeah, you'll survive just holding space and letting somebody cry. You will survive.
So in terms of grief, dealing with grief, I realized that after I wrote the first 2 Pets books. So Pets in the Afterlife 3 has a special chapter on how to cope with grief by a licensed clinical psychologist.
Beautiful.
Who's a friend of mine.
Beautiful.
Pets 4, about cats, has a chapter written by my brother's girlfriend, who is a licensed therapist and grief counselor. So
perfect.
Yeah, because those are the things that signs can be a great help to people in grief, but sometimes we need more. And that's why I made sure that those chapters are included in those books.
Yeah. And folks, everybody needs therapy. Everybody needs a counselor or a therapist at least once to talk stuff out. We don't have all the skill set to maneuver through certain things, and generationally, if there's those traumas too that get passed down, we need help with that. So I appreciate that you've included those in your books as well too.
Thank you.
Oh gosh, our time just went flying by.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I knew it would. Here's me, right? When I said, "Oh, we've got like 3.5 pages of questions for you," and I knew that we would not get to all of them. So it does mean we have to have a round 2. I think maybe we'll just keep with this if that's okay.
Sure.
Humorous. Oh, Jackie, that's brilliant. I just will put this up here for you, Rob.
Oh my gosh, I'm so humbled. Thank you. So the reason I wrote my books is to teach people how their pets communicate from the other side, so that they don't need a medium.
Yes.
They don't need to contact me. All they need to do is teach themselves, and hopefully teach others.
But do you find it helps validate their experience though when they reach out, because the doubt that they may have in that because of grief?
Yeah, so when I do those live sessions, when I do those fundraising lectures, it's an interactive thing, and I ask people to share their stories. Or if I mention one particular way that a pet will communicate, I'll ask, does anybody have a story about that kind of experience? And Carolyn, I have to tell you that those lectures are so powerful. There are a lot of people that are brought to tears. That it's so healing. And so I walk out of there, not only am I an emotional mess, but I walk out of there feeling good that, here are people, and so many people have said to me, I have had no one to talk to about this. Nobody understands, but here in this room full of 40 people, we've all been sharing our stories, and that's powerful.
It is very powerful. Victoria of Afterlife Paranormal is just sharing I'm buying them too.
Oh gosh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Most humorous message from a pet to their pet parent that you would be allowed to share?
Most humorous. I think there was one particular dog that said that it wasn't me all the time, and they were talking about passing gas.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it was the woman's husband. Who would blame it on the dog?
That is very funny. And that's like a running joke. That's a running joke, like in movies and media and stories. Like, yeah, that's pretty funny. Melissa is also sharing. This was informative. Thank you both. I'm going to buy the books and get reading. Mish is also sharing. Thanks for a great show. I'll need to listen to the start still. So, yeah.
I have another sign that I'd like to share with you. Something I didn't touch upon, that pets can influence other animals, like animals in nature, like birds and butterflies and dragonflies and so forth. And they've done that. They've come through many times like that. When our dog Sprite passed in 2013, the next day we took our other dogs out in the backyard. And Sprite was a little dachshund. He was a little chunky little dachshund. He was a rescue. We adopted him at 10. He lived to be 16 and a half. After he passed, though, he used to like to amble out in the, kind of walk back and forth or side to side. So when the other 3 dogs went out 2 days after his passing, a yellow and black butterfly came in the backyard for the very first time. And that yellow and black butterfly lingered for about 15, 20 minutes. And close to the ground, like the way that Sprite used to walk. It stopped on the ground and it landed on a blade of grass. It let me get very close to it. And there's a picture of it in Pets in the Afterlife one with a cell phone. So it was so close that it took up the whole frame of the camera.
Wow.
I knew it was Sprite. And a couple of years later, I was driving to work and I wasn't thinking about what day it was, but a yellow and black butterfly went right in front of my windshield. And I heard, "Hey, Dad, you know what day it is?" And I thought, I have no idea what day it is. And I finally realized it was July 8th. It was the anniversary of his passing. And he sent me another yellow and black butterfly. He also sent me one in Ireland when I was on vacation. So they can manipulate.
Which there is a book about.
Oh yeah, The Ghost of Ireland on a Medium's Vacation. Yeah, and Sprite has a chapter. Yeah, he wasn't a ghost; he was a spirit. But my dog Sprite found us on vacation.
Love that. I love it. Mish is asking, are pets and stock different? Example, herd of sheep or cows.
It depends on. Well, animals all have the same emotional intelligence, and it depends on how you interact with the sheep or the cows. If you're out there all the time with them and they get to know you and so forth, then they have a bond with you, and because with that bond, they're able to communicate with you better from the other side. I
did a gallery event. I think it was my last gallery event of the season last year before winter, because I don't want to drive in the winter anymore because I'm at that age. I just don't want to drive in the winter anymore. So I finished at a certain point in the late fall, right? So I'm doing this gallery event, and I usually sit in my car before I go into a venue, and I try to get them in a queue before I go in, because the quiet ones will come in when I'm sitting in the car, and then they get knocked out sometimes if I don't do that, right? But when I went in, I'm like, okay, folks, I have this lovely man who I can't exactly see yet because he just keeps showing me his beautiful cow. And he's like, that's a good cow. And this is what the cow, he was showing me the cow's head up like with the sun behind it. Like it was, It was like this like cow. And then the cow, I think the cow is crossed over too, but he just wanted me to know like this, I got the cow, and then he showed himself, right? But we focused on the cow first. So I agreed. Like if there is an emotional connection to them, like chickens come through for people too, right? Because people get very attached to their chickens.
Yeah, I can. You can get attached to any pet that you have.
Spiders included, and snakes.
Yeah, so I don't do readings for people with spiders. Kind of, I'm scared of them. So it would not. They would not be able to come through to me.
Yeah. And that's a
just
true
because of my
fact. Yeah. Like we have our own personal limitations because we're still human beings as well too, right? And that's important. Joanna's sharing wonderful show. Thank you so much for sharing amazing stories and personal experiences. Victoria is sharing, thank you, Carrie Lynn and Rob. That was amazing. It truly helped heal my heart.
Awesome.
Yeah. Can you so could you share the title again about the Ireland, the sharing book, the travel book?
Oh, sure. So I have a series of Ghosts on a Medium's Vacation. So whenever I go on vacation, my guard is down, and dead people like to tell me their stories. So Ghosts of Ireland on a Medium's Vacation is one, and I wrote it after. I didn't expect to write a Ghost of Ireland book, but I take notes whenever I go on vacation. It became a book, and it's written like a travel guide. So it's done by county and in alphabetical order. And then there's little links of videos that I made at different places that I found out were haunted, where ghosts talk to me. And then there's Ghosts of England on a Medium's Vacation.
Love it.
Talk to people from all different centuries in England, in Tudor era castles and all kinds of places. And then Ghosts of the Birdcage Theater on a Bird Medium's Vacation, which is in Tombstone, Arizona. And
yeah, I love that. So this is what Jackie White is just sharing. I would also like to see Rob back to talk about his other paranormal interests. I watched an interview today about your interest with the movie Tombstone, which is one of my favorite movies, and Wyatt Earp and his brothers. My friend moved to Tombstone and volunteered at the Birdcage Theater. So I had her on not that long ago. I had her on to talk all about Tombstone and her experiences there, and then volunteering and investigating at the Birdcage.
Oh, cool. She probably saw my book because it's for sale there. My friend Billy manages the Birdcage.
So yeah, he would know my friend. he would know my friend. Sam is sharing, I'll get my mom to watch this live, Rob. She lost her pet dog a few years ago, and she's actually witnessed a smoke-like apparition at her bedroom door, and she got the smell of roses. That's perfect. That's perfect.
I wonder if the roses would be there's only one dog that came through with the smell of roses to me. So that could be a human giving that scent. I did a reading for a woman whose dog passed under a rose bush, and she would smell roses whenever she sensed her dog in the house.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting. Can you let folks know where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, gosh, I'm all over social media like an epidemic, but I'm on Facebook.
Necessary, right?
Yeah. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube,
TikTok,
LinkedIn, TikTok. Although I have a face for radio instead of video, but I am on TikTok. And my robgutro.com website is a place you can get me, and that has links to social media stuff, or petspirits.com.
This was fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing your time and energy and space with me. I appreciate it. I really do hope that I can have you back and we can finish the other 2 pages of questions that I had for you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, if we can get your co-author, if we can get Monique here as well too, hopefully that all jives and we can have a fun paranormal. Maybe we can do like true and false like game show questions. We'll pepper some questions out and just have some fun with our paranormal experiences. I think would be a lot of fun. So I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been such a pleasure. I can't believe that 2 hours have gone by.
Yeah, it goes quick, right? It goes so quick. And it's funny because people think 2 hours feels like a really long time, right? And for me, I'm like, I need to have a snack before I start. So I'm not super hungry at the end, but I find it always goes so fast, and it was good company and great stories, and I'm appreciative. Thank you to everybody that was in the chat today that contributed and held space for one another. I appreciate all of you. You help make the show what it is. If you stay tuned, Jeffrey Pritchett is up next with the Church of Mavis, and next week on Spirit Switchboard, I have Sal Ma, who is the light mother is her name. So she's star language, light language, and multidimensional guide. So that is who is coming on the show next week as well too. So you have been listening to Spirit Switchboard with your host Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, and you've been listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Thank you, everybody. Have a good week, and we'll see you hopefully Thursday with Beneath the Hollow Moon, and if not, we will see you Friday with Spirit Switchboard. Have a good night, everybody.